Good afternoon. I don't know, morning. What is it? 10:24. And I thought it's been a while since I went live, and I don't know. I got some goosebumps. I've been pre-recording everything and trying to keep everything moving in the Wire Differently brand. And I wanted to do a quick shout out to everybody live and notice that it's Christmas, and the only Christmas hat I could find to share the love with you was my beloved Detroit Lions. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on my beloved Detroit Lions because, well, they don't deserve a lot of time, but they did have a big win, and we just want to celebrate what we can with what we have. And I think that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Now, this isn't going to be a long show. It's not a WDEX show. It's just something to say, hey, Merry Christmas to everybody. And I wanted to celebrate you. I wanted to celebrate the good things in our life and some rough times like the Lions in our life. But I don't want this to be a big motivational rah, although everything I do, I seem to feel like energy comes out, and I want to encourage you to understand that there's always the other side and there's always a good side. So Merry Christmas to all of you and Happy New Year and all that stuff going on. So I'm going to do a little quick update on the Wire Differently world. And I'm going to encourage you a little bit because I was preparing for something to say on top of Merry Christmas, because Merry Christmas is obviously coming. It's going to come whether we want it to or not. And I've traditionally been the Grinch. But the good thing about the Grinch is that he always comes around at the end, and people get gifts and prizes and the cheer and the love of the time of the year. And we do want to celebrate the fact that it is Christ. It's a Christmas day. It's a Christ day. And so we want to make sure with the blessings and the things that we're spreading out there are good. You know, God is good. The message of God is good. The message of Christ is good. It's not a bad message. So even if you're not a Christ follower or into all that stuff, I just want you to understand the season is meant to be good. So today I just want to quickly kind of give you something that was on my mind that was just kind of reoccurring. And it was these 3 Ds I wanted to talk to you about on this Christmas season. And it's the distance, the drip, and the dedication. The distance, the drip, and the dedication. And so before I go into some really great news with Wired Differently and the things that are going on in 21 and are going to really continue in 22, I wanted to talk to you about a couple people I listen to on the social media. Now, I'm not a bad talker of people. I'm not a bad talker. I'm really an encourager. You know, I always say my job is to love you. My job is to encourage you. My job is to inspire you. My job is to actually teach you some things. And today I wanted to kind of do all those things, but I wanted to encourage you and share you. And I want you to listen to, obviously, to me, but I want you to listen to other people in this motivational world or inspirational world and take nuggets from what people say. And I also want you to look at what people say and think about the mark. Like, would you want to be like that person? Is that message fitting you? If I take on that message, is that how I'm going to be? And so I listen to a lot of these messages, and one of them, Tony Robbins is pretty good. He hasn't been a large influence in my life, but he's obviously a legend and very empowering, a very positive person. I listen to a guy by the name of Eric Thomas. He's a great motivator. He's a powerful master of words and energy, and I think he's a very positive guy. And I look at both like a guy like Tony and a guy like Eric, and I'm like, well, where does that fit in my life, and how do I want people to feel about me? And I take the good things from them. And I also listen to a guy by the name of Grant Cardone a couple times every now and then. And I look at Grant Cardone, and I'm not really a hater on these situations, but I just look at a guy like a Grant Cardone, and his message is about money. And I want you to make sure that when you watch me, that you understand, yeah, this guy's been successful. But I want you to understand my message, certainly in the Christmas season, is not money. I'm not trying to 10x your life and beat money down as what success is. So I just want to make sure that the Wire Differently message is clear. right? The Wired Differently message is about success. The Wired Differently message is about being, doing, and thinking through life differently. And certainly in this Christmas season, I want you to be, do, and think differently through the season. I want you to be successful through the season. I think that money will come for those who choose to seek money. But you're never going to seek money or become successful in the realm of money if you don't master the gift of success. And so what Wired Differently is about is becoming successful in your own skin, right? I'm different. I was raised differently. I come from a background of probably some bipolar backgrounds. I come from a coaching father. I come from a very dominant, pushing, resourceful mother. I come from a family from farmers. I come from a family of donut makers. I come from a family of workers. I come from all these things, and I want you all to strive for all these things differently. And if money is one of the things that you want to grasp in life, then go for it. You can do it through my teachings on being successful, because once you learn how to be successful at whatever the cause is that you want, then you can be successful in all things that you strive for. And that's the Wired Differently message. But the story that was climbing my head was always resonating about my favorite quote, which was, it's not just the efforts that we make, my friends, it's more the distances that we're willing to go. And as I think about that, I think about the Christmas season, I think about the Christmas time, and I think, man, what are you doing right now in your life? The one thing great. So one of the things that's made me successful is that I mastered one thing great. I got really good at one thing early on in life, and I rode that, and then I broke down the success pattern of what made me great at payroll and sales. What was that piece? What's that formula? And then I parlayed my success in life and sales into all things that I'm working on in a Wired Differently moment. One thing great. So I want you to know, what is that one thing great that you do? Because you really can't launch or spread your wings into other things until you master one thing great. And so Eric Thomas, so let's go back to Eric Thomas. He's a great guy. Look him up. I mean, he'll supercharge you, man. We talk about a lot. Matter of fact, I found out about Eric because someone said, you sound like Eric. Now, I don't know if it was, what their point was, but I think it was a positive thing. And so I searched this guy a little later, and man, this guy's really powerful, very powerful speaker. And the other day I was listening to him, and he told the story about drip, drip, drip. And I tell the story about going the distance. But he really resonated with me that day when I heard the story. And he was telling about a story how when he grew up as a little kid, didn't have much, and he went over to his grandma's house or something like that, and every time he went to his grandma's house, he would hear the drip, 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 drip of an old sink out in the garage area. Drip. And from the time he was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the age of, I don't know, he's 40 something now, but that drip went on and on and on. But over time, that drip left its mark. And I write about your mark in the book Drift Again. But when that little drip of water, that little unassuming drip of water, that little drip that's got a little sulfur in it, a little calcium, a little iron in it, over time, slowly dripped, 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 and dripped again, left its mark on that sink, not able to be erased. Not able to be even scrubbed off, because it was the consistent drip in the same spot over and over and over again. So what's your drip? What's that one thing great? What is the distance of your drip? What will be your dedication of the drip? And so when we're talking about Christmas, we're talking about coming up with money for gifts. We're talking about the stress of obviously providing and performing in such a predominant time of the year. How do we become something that can be consistent year over and year over again? What is your drip? And so this is something that we talk about. This is something I need you to understand is it's not just the efforts that we make in life. It's not like, okay, I did that, I tried that, now I'm moving on to another thing. The most successful people in the world do two things. They know what they want, and they drip, 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 drip again. You not only need to control your drift, but you have to command your drip. And that's what I want to challenge you with this story today. And so I want to bring you some really positive things right now. I want to talk to you about Wired Differently, right? A little bit about my favorite subject, me. You're really my favorite subject. But when I say me, I'm telling you, I need you to own who you are. I need you to own who you want to be. I need you to understand to focus on your drip, because if you can't focus on your drip, you can't share anything with anybody else in this world, right? And so let's just talk about Wired Differently. Now that we understand what your drip can be and should be, I want you to focus on that. I was making donuts when the time I was 9. I made donuts every day, every weekend, every night. Didn't have a weekend off until I was 21 years old. I saw that's a donut drip right there. Something you can be great at. I went out and sold payroll. I created a sales process. I mean, I dripped over years. I dripped. I made donuts. I dripped. You've got to drip, drip, drip. There's only one way to do it, is to drip and be consistent in your drip, and don't drift or drift again. So some good news on Wired Differently. I just want to talk to you about this epic battle I've been dripping away at for the last 2 years. I didn't talk about it. I Wired Differently, Drift Again is really going well, but it's just one of those things where you're dripping and dripping and dripping money, and you're dripping time, and you're dripping passion, and you're dripping your resources, and you're just wondering what can or will happen. What are you even doing, Todd? But I kept dripping. But one of the things I knew I needed to do was leverage the brand. And the only way I could leverage the brand to make it bigger than me, to make it a movement of dripping, a movement of celebrating you and your skin, celebrating the art of seeing the world differently, was I needed to own the brand. I quickly made it a TM, but over time, I filed for the patent for it to be Wired Differently, my own patent, my own national registered federal mark that no one else could use. Well, I just want to tell you about that drip journey over the last 2 years. I won the first sanction, or the first licensing piece of becoming patented or registered. But secondly, I was shot down by a company by the name of Wired. Wired is a large national magazine, and it's a very successful magazine. It's a very good magazine, but the name of the magazine is Wired, right? Great magazine on digital media, communications, digital media, things electronic, devices, and products in that regards. But they immediately put a stop to my brand, Wired Differently. I asked for the rights to own of Wired Differently, the word wired, the word differently put together, not in the vein of electronics at all. And I was shut down by a band of attorneys with Wired. And they came at me with everything they had. They wouldn't let me sell merchandise. They wouldn't let me sell books. They wouldn't let me even think about doing any type of other publishing. But this went on, and I hired a law firm by the name of Barnes and Thornburg out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Randy Brown and the gang over there, amazing big firm. And we immediately fired back with them, and we said, listen, we don't feel that we're imposing on you at all. Matter of fact, we're not. We're not in your vein at all. We're not in your realm. And we filed for another patent on not only the book rights and the magazine rights, but we filed for a patent on merchandise. So now we filed for 2 patents, and they're challenging now both of them. And we threw in, obviously, magazines with books, which we weren't going to do before. Now, they came at us with a lot of money and a lot of attorneys, and we waited them out, and we told them that we were not moving. We were righteous. We are going to continue to drip, 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 drip and drip again until they saw the light. Well, 24 months later, only a couple months ago, we finally got the filing after $50,000 some dollars. We dripped and we dripped and we dripped that we won that lawsuit. You now own Wired Differently. We own the brand. We own the Attitudinal Disorder. We own the book. We own the magazine rights. We own the merchandise rights. We are the exclusive, the only people in the world that can brandish Wired Differently. And so now it's reinfigured and recharged me for something that we can build bigger than just a social media application now and now then. So I just want to celebrate that Christmas news with you. Also want to celebrate, we're selling 25, since we've been able to be free of all this, we've been able to market the books, the brand, and the Attitudinal Disorder, some coaching and some things online. And so we're in beta right now, and we spend about $35 a day on marketing and ads selling books. Well, ironically enough, things are really, really working. We got a great landing page. Let's see here. I'll show you. We've got a great landing page. Check this out. This is the ad. So this is the ad a lot of you guys are seeing out there on social media. Now, the cool piece about this social media marketing with Instagram and Facebook, we're learning how to do this for books. We're learning how to actually really push the narrative on the Drift Again book. We're pushing the narrative on finding your purpose, finding your way, understanding that you are special in your own skin, and how to become supremely purposeful. Well, now we're marketing it, and we're doing a great thing, and we've learned how to market. Is more importantly, I think the cool piece here is we've learned how to market on the internet. And it's a super thing that we're learning how to push and market books. We're able to market merchandise like tumblers, shirts, hats are super cool. Lots of shirts, lots of the workbook for Wired Differently. And as we learn this, we're going to be able to come out with our third book, and the whole brand is going to continue to launch in this niche marketing component. So I just want you to see, if you see this ad, you just click on it. And if you click on it, it'll take you to, let's see here, a landing page that looks like this. So this is your landing page. Are you ready to become supremely purposeful? Buy this book, right? And it'll scroll down and it'll take you a lot of options. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that and what's working on in the social media. So what we do is we spend $25 to $40 a day. We send out probably, I would say, 800 impressions a day. And what comes back is we sell about 20 units, would be probably 30 units of products a day out of our fulfillment center in Angola, Indiana. Now, that's the same fulfillment center that we're shipping out tons of Tom's Donut merchandise as well. So just kind of a side thing if you're keeping up with all of my life in that regards and all of our brands. It's going very, very well. We use a company called Salty Printing. They print all the shirts and all our merch, and they ship it to Angola, Indiana. And then when you order it online, it goes out. Now, listen, we have sold books in 5 different countries, right? We had to slow that process down because the shipping was just untenable with COVID. But we have sold books in every state in the United States of America. Now, I'm smiling big because it's a big deal to be able to take words from your brain, put them on paper, and then transfer them into other people's brain, and people want to buy it, want to purchase it, want to be around it, and want to be wired differently. So I'm very grateful for that. 25 to 30 units a day, easy. We're going to be ramping that spending up from $35 to $45 a day to probably $300 to $400 a day once we get the demographics and all settled. So look for the ad, click on it, get your complimentary book, and we're shipping all kinds of stuff out with that because you're helping me with the shipping and the handling. We're able to send you a lot of other cool things at a very low price of nothing at all. You get the audio book for free. You get the Wired Differently audio book for free, the first book, and you get upon the purchase, and then you obviously get 12 coaching steps from me free in the audio. So as soon as you buy this stuff, you're getting 3 audios immediately upon your click. So that's kind of really a fun thing that we're doing. Very few people are doing it, certainly doing as well as we are. So I just encourage you to look for that and join the movement in that regard. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is we did the trademark win right there. Win, winner, chicken dinner. Thank you for all the support there. And we're selling 25 books per day, probably closer to 40 units of all kinds of things a day. Good fun stuff. And right here, new line of merch now available on toddsaylor.com. So now we're adding tumblers. We added a really super cool white on white embossed wired differently hat. Where is that hat? I had one right here. I think my nephew took it. But anyways, it's a super cool hat, similar to the one you see in the background there, but it's all white now in the front and it's wired differently. It's got embossed letters on it. All the brands are doing great. Tom's Donuts is doing great. Pacer Systems is doing great. Pacer Staffing is doing great. And so I just want to encourage you. So let's go back to this. I want to close this little impromptu live sessions with a Merry Christmas to everybody. A lot of people are jumping on, and it's really nice to see people jumping on. But I want to talk to you about your drip, right? I just gave you an amazing example of my drip. When I was a little boy, I would drip. Every day I would make donuts. Every day from the age of 9, for the most part, I would live donuts. I would make donuts. And here today, I own a couple donut shops. My father and my parents started, and we rebranded it, and we dripped the most beautiful donuts in the world. Angola, Indiana is the donut capital of the world because my family has dripped, and dripped donuts for over 50 years. One thing great. But then we parlayed that very same drip mentality into payroll. My wife and I, we dripped payroll. We dripped. We didn't give up. We kept dripping payroll. We kept selling payroll. We dripped operational increases. We dripped operational efficiencies. We dripped new software. We dripped our market efficiencies. We dripped where we were going to do this. We dripped the product line. We stayed steady, and we wasn't just the efforts, it's the distance. We dripped payroll for 27 years. Donuts we dripped for 50 years. Payroll we've dripped for 27 years. And now I'm dripping wire differently for going on 3 years now. We're built it and we dripped and we fought and we won the patent and we've moved through it. Now this really, it is about me right now, but I want it to be about you because I need you to understand the drip. I need you to understand your drip. I need to understand if you don't have a drip, you don't have a way. And if you don't have a way, you're not going to drip, but you're going to drift. And I don't want you to drift again. I don't want you to be somebody that just continues to drift and drip and drip and do things and drift again, right? I don't want you to drift again. One drift is okay. One drift you can get by with. But when you realize that you've drifted, don't drift again because that is what causes you to lose your way. You got to drip. You can't drift. 8 traits of supremely purposeful people. The number one trait of a supremely purposeful people is that they drift again. They finally realize that they've drifted and then they drift again. But it's okay. There's a way back. We sin. Then we sin again, but there's a way back. I need you to look for your drift so you don't drift again. And then we celebrate the other 7 traits that are phenomenal that make you supremely purposeful. That's not meant to be a commercial. It's just meant to be, listen, this is my drip. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm dripping all over you. I'm dripping all over the type of success in life that I want people to have that I learned by accident until I was supremely purposeful about looking for it because it's all about the distance. It's all about the drip. It's all about the reps that you put in your life. Don't just sit back and get up in the morning. Get up in the morning and make the day. Don't let the day make you. Start dripping on something. You got to drip. Don't drift. Whew, that's my Christmas message to you. That's how much I love you. That's how much I want to inspire you. That's how much I want to encourage you. I just had to get the drip off my mind. So I just want to wish you all a Merry dripping Christmas and a not drifting New Year. And I want you to focus on this new year. What is your drip? Conversely, what is your drift? I don't want you to drift again, but I want you to drip, 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 and drip again. All right. Well, this is Todd Saylor, Wired Differently, and this is a Merry Christmas shout out. And I hope you all got through this message because it was a good one. Think about us. We're thinking about you. Let's do this Christmas. Let's just do New Year wired differently. Let's do this thing called life wired differently because I'm here to love you, inspire you, motivate you, and teach you a few things. Thanks for all your support. We truly, truly love you. Have a great year, everybody. Let's do this thing called life wired differently.